welcome to YMCA of San Francisco's Classrooms for All. My name is Alex, and today I'm going to guide you through an arts and craft activity for winter. Today we're going to be making giant 3D snowflakes. So what you will need today are 6 pieces of paper. You can use any color paper that you want, so if you want to make a purple snowflake, that's up to you. Today I'm going to go with the traditional white snowflake. You'll want some scissors and you'll want some tape, and that's it. Isn't that crazy? Simple materials for an awesome activity. So feel free to follow along with me step by step as we make this 3D snowflake, or just watch and do it at your own time at home. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our first sheet of paper and we're going to turn this standard sheet of printer paper into a square. So the way that we do that, I call it the origami setup. So when we're making origami, we make a square first. So what I'm going to do is take one corner of my piece of paper and fold it up to the edge of the other side of the paper evenly, so it makes a point on this top corner here. And it leaves us with this strip of paper right here that we're going to end up cutting off. Okay, so what we're going to do next is cut off this part of the paper. All right, and we're going to do that to every single sheet that we have. So let's go ahead and do that same thing over again and leave that one right over there until we're ready to use it. So normally when we make paper snowflakes that are more flat and not 3-dimensional, more 2-dimensional, we only use one sheet of paper. So the beauty of this one is we're using a ton of paper to make a huge snowflake that you can hang in your room or hang out your window. Now the last one. Do the same thing one more time. So I have 6 squares that I cut from those 6 sheets of paper. I'm gonna remember to save these for next snowflake that I make. And what we're going to do is take our first one, and you could open it up and see that it's a square. Just to make sure that it looks all the same. And what we're going to do is keep it folded into that triangle that it was folded in initially. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half again. So bring one point to the other. So what you should have now is a triangle, and if you kind of look at it, it's a right triangle because it has a right angle right here. So even if we're doing art, we're still doing some sort of scheme with some mathematics and geometry with shapes and angles. But today, we're gonna look at our paper. We created this second triangle out of that first one, and what we should have is 2 sides that have folded edges. So one side has 2 folded sides, or 2 folded edges on there to make one. And then you have one on the bottom that has 1 folded edge. And then this outside angle, or this outside edge right here, it has an opening. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut from that single folded edge, so right at that bottom, keeping those folded edges to the left side, or however you want to hold your paper. To me, it's on my left. So I'm going to hold it like this at the right angle, and I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut 3 lines diagonally from this end to the other end. So I'm going to make sure that I don't cut all the way, but we're going to cut as close as we can to that edge. So it's okay if you have a lot of, or a decent amount of space, but we want to make sure we get it close enough, but not too close where we cut that whole edge off. So what we're going to do is find a place to start. We're going to cut one line all the way up as close as you can without cutting off that corner. So we have one, and remember we're going to make 3 lines. So I'm going to give some space it out, make another line right here, and then I'm going to make a second or a third one right in between that space. So I'm going to make sure I get it close enough to the edge. So now we have 1, 2, and then one more cut right in between these two. Bring it all the way up without cutting to the end. So we're going to leave some space for each of those right there. Okay? And we're going to do that same thing to all 6 of our sheets of squares that we made. Okay? So I'm going to put that one off to the side and do it one more time for you guys. And so you can make these more precise by using a ruler and marking where you want to cut. That way each of your parts of your snowflake aren't uneven, but today it's going to be okay. We're going to freehand it and do our best. And so you're going to repeat that step over and over again on each of your 6 sheets of paper. All right, so the first thing we're going to do now that we've cut all of our squares, or now we should call them triangles, into these little strips here with just a little bit attached to that edge, we're gonna open one up at a time. It could kind of look like a snowflake even by itself, but we're gonna make sure all of these are opened up. Sometimes they get stuck on each other, so you're gonna make sure you can open them up, and you'll have what kind of looks like tinier squares cut into our big square. And what we're going to do is we're going to start taping each of these together. So we're gonna kind of lift up each flap that kind of sticks out and tape them together. But we're gonna do it every other side. So what you're going to do is take a piece of tape, a really small piece of tape, find those 2 little flaps that are in the middle of your snowflake piece, and we're going to tape them together, or tape those 2 points to them together to kind of make this cannoli looking piece right here. All right, so now you have, it looks like a kind of like a tunnel right there. So we connected those 2 parts that were right in the middle, making that small square it looked like. The next thing we're going to do is flip our paper, our whole thing over, and we're going to connect the next 2 on the other side. So we're going to alternate sides as we tape these together. So I'm going to grab another small piece of tape, lift up those 2 second to the middle, connect them at their points, overlap them a little bit, and then tape them together like so. So now you have 2 on each side, and they're gonna start getting bigger and bigger as they go outward. So we're on this side, and we're gonna flip it back over to the side that we started on and do that same thing with the next 2 strips that are right here. I'm gonna curl them together and connect them at the points. Okay, so now we have this cool design from the side, and we're gonna flip it over one last time and tape the last 2 together. like that. So now from the side, it looks like this really cool swirly design as you turn it around. And this is one part of our snowflake. So there's 6 parts of our snowflake. So just think of it as like a point of a star. So this is going to be one point of our star or our snowflake. So we're going to put that one off to the side and do that same thing over again with the next 5 sheets that we have. So we're going to open it up again, grab your small piece of tape. We're going to take those 2 in the middle, connect them or curl them in, and connect them at the points. All right, so now that we have our 6 branches or 6 parts finished of our snowflake, we're going to take 2 at first and we're going to attach them to each other. So we're going to find 2, and they might look a little different or have their kind of twists in different areas, and that's okay, because no snowflake, I don't believe, is perfect, although they look amazing outdoors if you can microscopically look at them. But we're gonna take our branches, or our parts of our snowflake, take maybe 1 or 2 pieces of tape, and we're gonna find, so if you look at it from this angle, you'll see that one side is smaller than this bigger side on each of these. So we're gonna attach one big side to the other one's small side. So I'm gonna take this big side right here, because this is a smaller side since it's smaller on the outside here. And then we're gonna take this smaller one because it's smaller than this bigger one right here, so that bigger layer that we taped together. And what I'm going to do is find those points where they joined their in the middle to make like an X. And I'm gonna tape them together right there in the middle. Okay. So it's gonna make kind of like a chain like this at the beginning. So we're gonna take our next one and attach that one. So since this one's the bigger side, I'm gonna find the smaller side on this one and attach the smaller side to the bigger side. So grab your tape, meet them in the middle, and tape them together. You can also staple them. It might be a little bit easier, but today I have tape and we're gonna make it work, but stapler would work perfectly as well. So we're gonna grab our next one in the same way that we did that. Since this one's the bigger side, I'm gonna attach the smaller side to our new one, find the center, and tape them together. Let me make sure, smaller and bigger. Even I have to double check sometimes. And then we have our chain here, but that's not what we want. We want it to look like a snowflake. So the way that we're going to do that is we're gonna join them at their bottom points all the way around. So the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna slowly tape them to each other. And you can make them double-sided. So you'll take a piece of tape and circle that around to make kind of like a loop, like so. Attach it to the tip of the one on the end, and then we'll pinch that one to the end or the bottom of the second flake here. So that we have what looks like now it's attached in the middle and it's attached at the point at the bottom. So we're gonna do that all the way till we get to the end. So we're gonna take our piece of tape, make a loop with it so that it works like double-sided tape. Attach that to the point of that second one that we just attached to that first one. And then we're gonna attach that third in the chain right there at the bottom. So now we have 3, and it's starting to kind of form a fan, what looks like, of a snowflake. And we're gonna repeat that over and over again. Take our tape, loop it, attach it to the bottom point there where all of them are getting combined or joined together. And then we're gonna take that bottom of that next one and pinch it to that one as well. And then do this a couple more times. Loop it right there at the bottom and take that 5th one and get it to that point there. And then when we get to this last one, we're gonna attach it to the other side. So we're gonna take our tape, and I've been adding it to this side of the bottom, so where all of these are joining in, but I'm gonna put this tape on the opposite side, so on the front of where we started with our snowflake, and take that bottom one that we have at the end and tape it right around there at the tip there. So that way we have now a beautiful snowflake. A 3D snowflake. And so if you're at home and you have some extra string, oh, we can also tape these parts together. So I forgot to do that. You can tape those ends together. If you have some string, you can hang this up from your ceiling and make a bunch of these, maybe smaller or bigger ones if you have bigger paper. And you can decorate your house as a winter wonderland. As we're still in winter, I'm gonna tape this last bit together. And since I'm in San Francisco, and if you're in San Francisco, we know that there's no snow here in San Francisco, so you have to drive a long way. And right now we're not always going to different places, so you can bring the snow to your home and decorate your whole house in snowflakes for winter wonderland. So thank you all so much for joining me in making these awesome 3D snowflakes to decorate your home this winter. If you want to join us for more classes, you can go to YMCASF.org/classrooms4all. We love to see you there. Thank you.
Did you know that YMCA of San Francisco never closed? When shelter-in-place happened, we could no longer provide in-person programming. We quickly shifted to provide youth and family programming virtually. As early as April, we started providing on-demand activities in our YMCA of San Francisco YouTube channel.
For this video, we're going to be making a geodesic dome.
Today, we're going to be making a hovercraft. The science around this activity is really awesome.
In addition, we have a regular schedule of activities for our youth and families to join live. We feature read-alouds, yoga, family Zumba, arts and crafts, drawing clubs, and more. So don't miss out on our virtual youth and family offerings. Visit www.ymcasf.org for more info and class schedules.